This is Productivity and Procrastination. I'm Joe.
And I'm James. We're just a couple of guys trying to procrastinate and get some stuff done with productivity at the same time.
You, we're currently working on our Project Pancake.
And this is episode 10.
It might be. I
Is
think
it?
you're right. Is this episode
Am
10?
Are we sure? I think
Check.
it is.
I can't use
How
my
do I
computer.
check?
I don't know. If I touch my computer, everything blows up, so I have to keep it how it is.
Okay. Well, we'll say something while I'm looking so that I don't have to, chat and stuff.
This week on episode Enigma, we'll talk to you about the importance of training your cat to drink orange juice.
What the heck are you talking about?
What? I'm just, I'm filling air.
Okay. Well, tell us something relevant, Joe.
I'm going to tell you something relevant. So if your cat drinks orange juice, it's going to get valuable vitamin C. You don't want your cat sick, do you?
Because we don't even know what episode we're on. That's yes, we are. Well, actually, yes, we are. We didn't even do it wrong. We're episode
That's
10.
because we're not. That's because we know what we're doing.
Because this
We're
is
just not
totally
confident in what we're
scripted.
doing.
So, Joe,
That's my
I
name.
have some comments.
Ooh, I love comments.
I listened to the video last week. And there were a few things I wrote down. One of them was, where is the momentum shifting? Because we did have this little conversation about the last week. How do you feel that your momentum is shifting? Do you think it's more towards the procrastination side or more towards the get stuff done side? Personally, examine yourself.
Depends. So, for this project, it's leaning towards the procrastination side. Because I don't feel like I have anything solid I can be doing for it right now.
See.
Whereas, other stuff, I've been working. Don't tell Daddy Jeffrey. I've been going through a book. I even have a coaster as a bookmark.
A coaster.
Yeah.
Just the coffee to go with it.
I'm not a coffee person. I'm like a Starbucks more sugar than coffee person, if that counts as coffee.
Who isn't?
Okay, good. Then hell yeah, I'm a coffee person. Load me up. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, buy me a cup of coffee every day. I'd be okay with it.
Okay, so
What about you? Where do you think your momentum's going?
I've examined myself deeply into my soul and have determined this is procrastination is what's going on this last week. Now, but I do want to say that will shortly end and that this next week will be a great week.
You're starting your new schedule, right?
Yes, I am. I have, and I knew I would just kind of use these last whiles to take it easy and enjoy my day and play some video games. I have slightly got things done,
Okay.
but not in the manner that I intend to get done shortly. This
What was on your
next
goals?
week. I completed, I think, my goals, which was to do some work on thinking about the story, coming up with some stuff, and I spent at least an hour doing that. So my goal was accomplished. However, after spending the time doing it, I feel like my face is out of sync with.
Oh, it's always going to look like that for you because you're seeing like the
Oh,
bounce back
okay.
version.
So I feel like I don't even know what I was saying, but oh, I feel like after spending the time doing it for like an hour or a little bit past, um, I felt like I needed so much more time. And I felt like, this is going to be so good when I could devote like a whole day to just getting stuff done and I don't have to even bite into any of my, 3 days off are going to be so nice. And I just intend on doing some good work. I think it's going to be great. I've been preparing slowly over the last few weeks to kind of like get my days correctly thought out. And so I feel like I'm just so ready to just have it happen.
Nice. What did you have written down for your goals?
Oh, well, I'm not sure which journal I wrote. I have the little one. Oh, that you gave me.
It's such a
I
good
actually
journal.
took it out of the car this time, huh?
I'm proud of you.
I know, and that's not in that one. Can I be cluttering up my desk with journals now?
I mean, you shouldn't be.
It
You should
could
have
be in this
one
one.
journal. You should have
One journal.
one
How
journal.
can a man survive?
One journal at a time. Keep your space tidy. You need to listen to Marie Kondo's The Magic of Tidying.
Okay. Well, in one of my journals, I wrote down my
Oh
list
my
of things
gosh.
to do.
Okay. All right. New
Oh
goal.
no, he has a
Yes.
goal for
Is your
me.
desk
All
even
right.
clean?
No. Well, what if I need a tape measure?
What the fuck? Okay, you need to
What?
listen to.
Oh
Everybody
my
should
goodness.
listen to Marie Kondo's The Magic of Tidying. I finished the book a
What
second
if I
time.
need this?
What even is that?
It's for hole punching that I don't need this week or last week or the week before. It's just I don't
You
know
need to
what
have.
it breeds.
All right, new goal.
And my jury duty slip. It's a mess, actually. Okay, yeah. Been good.
You need to write down your goals in the notebook I gave you,
In the notebook you gave me? All right. I guess that.
and then just have them visible at all times.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna whip out my goals for this week. Then like paste it in front of me.
There you go. Hell yeah.
All right. All right. So my goal 1. Clean my dang desk again.
Yep.
All right. 2. Kick some butt story wise. But
Whoa.
that
Did
will
you
be.
say
I
kick
know.
some butts? We need more. Okay,
I know,
that you love these
No. I just.
these non-specific goals. These ambiguous.
I know. I just ambiguous.
Yes.
I was gonna translate that for you the second after, but you did give me a chance. So I know that we had 1 hour of the goal last time. I'm just gonna put that in there for a weak, pathetic goal, and then I'm going to increase those and see how many awesome hours I can get done.
So with my drawing, for me it's not about duration, It just says
Sorry, you're
draw
the one that
every
defined
day.
it last week.
Huh?
You're the one that helped me define that the other day.
Yes, but I mean, if an hour
Now
is
it's no
doesn't feel
good?
like,
1 week? And it's no good?
well, I'm just looking at your. Did you actually write last week?
No, but that wasn't my goal.
Okay, I thought the goal said to be writing for an hour.
No. It was to do like actual like points and the detail wise wasn't really right.
So I have it set up like this, where it has like draw every day, and then it has the day, like the days of the week.
Well, we can almost read the days of the week.
Yeah, almost.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something like that instead. Like, do you want to be writing every day, or do you want to be?
No,
Okay.
just want to be writing once on my day of work.
Okay.
Yeah, if I, because I need hours to write.
Okay, and that's totally
Not even
fine.
like, now, I mean,
Now,
maybe, no, because I'll have 4:10s, and I'll get off. I'll be waking up, working, and then at 8:30 at night, I'll probably be eating and then playing with family and then going to bed every day I work. So I won't be working at all on any of this until my day of work, which will be Thursday. Or actually, well, whatever. Probably be Thursday since I don't want to do our video on Friday, and then after that, do stuff from my house and things, I think. Okay, so
and then I was going to talk about your goal. So you said weak, pathetic goal, and I do want to stress getting goals done in general is a big boon.
you're right. You're right. I guess my evaluation of what I should be doing at this point.
Yeah, you're
now
being too
that-
hard on yourself.
Well, okay. I feel like you're saying I'm being too hard on myself, but at the same time, you're judging me too harshly. If
No,
you
I'm
really
judging
mean
you.
that.
I'm judging your use of terminology. I'm trying to find something that works for you, and I'm trying to explore that with you.
Well, here's basically my situation: is I don't want to evaluate my last week. It's like whatever. I knew I knew I wasn't doing much, so I don't care. I am prepared though to knock it out of the park this next week. So I don't really care what I've already told myself, it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to start kicking some serious butt this week. So whatever I put down as my goal, I'm going to break it. I'm going to do beyond it. That's where I'm at.
Okay. So currently you have the goal of writing for an hour. Or
Yes, I want to actually write for 1 hour.
okay.
Plus, I'll put that because once I get started, it's sometimes hard to stop. And I want to also have a goal of 1 hour of just thinking about the story, just trying to get details, coming up with ideas for scenes or conversations or points of interest, world building, whatever. And I don't really do that. That's a new thing for me. That's probably the harder thing for me than sitting down and just writing. I'm used to trying to do that. I'm not used to thinking about world building very much. I'm not a plotter. I'm a pantser.
Okay.
So, yeah. Other goals. I want to make this week I want to be able to look back and say that my week went approximately to plan. Because I have designed this week out to have certain things done on certain days. I want to feel like that was successful because I want to start a track record of momentum in my life
Mm-hmm.
where this new schedule works. I went to 410s because of this extra day so that I could have a more realistic approach of putting all the things in my life in the right spot and getting it done appropriately on time instead of pushing off some things and never getting them done. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see how it feels.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, sounds good. And then I was gonna say storyboard, but no, that's next weekend, which will be on
Mm-hmm.
next week's things. Because realistically, I don't want to do a bunch of drawing for a storyboard that we don't know for sure is the final product.
Okay. Um, I could encourage you to major scenes that you know are probably going to be in. You could try to just like if you're unsure of what you want to just doodle or draw or whatever when you're
Mm-hmm.
practicing for a week, you could practice on that. It doesn't have to
Okay.
necessarily be, but you know, could help a little bit. And now I noticed last week, Joe, during our conversation, that we had a little we had a thing where I kind of defined, artist as writer,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which I agree.
which you agreed, and then you said I wouldn't argue with that in the slightest.
Right.
And then when we did our storyboard,
Okay, so to me, it was like it was so interesting because
so maybe we should give some context.
yeah, we should absolutely give some context. So we were working on this storyboard, right? And um, James was taught. We were going through the story, and we were like thinking of like different scenes that would be on our thing, and we were drawing out like what the actual page would look like, and all that stuff. And I was drawing these scenes, and I was under the impression that basically what we would do is draw as much as we could and show through like pictures and try to minimize text. Where I was like, okay, that made logical sense to me, and I couldn't understand why. And James was like, no, we need to have some text in there as well because it's important. And I couldn't connect why text was important in the context of this project, and like, or just text was important for something that we could see done in picture. And then James explained to me, or after a good, after a good frustrating bout back and forth, um, he articulated to me that it's not just the story that is a writer's art. It's how words are placed together, how they sound together, and that's an important part of a writer's like creation. And so by not including that in the final product, we're essentially cutting out part of his art. And it
Yeah,
made me do like a 180 on the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense."
yeah, and I think that if I go back to the actual point at which we had um, that point where both our emotions was high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we were heated.
Um, I mean, I had adrenaline. I'm sure Joe probably did too, and or maybe not until after I commented afterwards. But and I wanted to point that out because I feel like it's a good topic of conversation. Because when you're working in a team, even if you know somebody very well, like I do with Joe, um, that you get to the point where maybe something comes up where you have um, a point where you disagree. And I don't know if Joe realized how big of a deal it was to me. Because in my mind, if this couldn't be figured out, there was no possibility of us collaborating in any meaningful project because it only gets more difficult from here. I mean, imagine a story more complex than the pancake story that we're faking out to just find the process. Imagine doing something more complex. It it wouldn't have happened. We couldn't, if we can't agree to how to formulate a plan on how to work together with the smallest of projects where the details don't matter as much, then we would never have gone further. So, but the point is the point at which you get heated and the point at which you fear for the future of the project. You really have to ignore the point at which you would want to, you know, blurt out things and maybe get into a real yelling match or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And where you're throwing out like threats of, leaving or whatever. And instead really try to articulate why it matters.
Yeah.
And
And I
yeah.
think I think I'm a lot at fault with this because when we were talking about it and you're like, I want to include pictures in it, I was in my perspective was, hey, we're already doing your story. You're like, you wrote the story. Like, why there has to be text when I feel like there doesn't need to be text? And to me, I was like, the story is his art piece. When in reality, that's not the case. And I also got
You
heated.
mean when you say story, you mean the details or the of like that. Story can have a lot of meanings. So
Oh, I
to
meant
me
like,
when you say
like
it,
just like the entire like what happens from scene to
the
scene and
ideas.
yeah, the
Okay,
scene,
yeah.
the characters, like what they do. That's what I mean by story. And then when I was so frustrated because it felt like to me that he was just trying to like add more of his creation into the product when it already like in places that I didn't feel it needed just for the sake of satisfying his own ego. That's what it felt like. And instead of being like, hey, help me understand why this is important to you, I just assumed the worst, which I think was a big mistake on my part. I could have approached it differently, being like, help me understand why this is important to you. And I think that would have that would have solved a lot more issues than than getting frustrated.
And you noticed one of your own tendencies of what you do when you get frustrated. And maybe if you can talk about that for a second. And I know this is, more in depth in
Oh
stuff
yeah,
of
no. We
analyzing,
can
but maybe it could be helpful to
we put you
somebody.
on the chopping block all the time, so it's my turn. Um so when I okay, so basically I got so frustrated, right? That I had basically at that point I had to choose to either because he wasn't going to let this go, and so I knew that, and I wasn't willing to fight it to the extent that I don't know. it felt basically I had to either accept it or we'd have to be done with the project. And I didn't want to lose the project because this is important to me. And so basically, I did what anybody else would do, or I assume anybody else would do, and become passive aggressive and just be like, fine, whatever, and just try to avoid the confrontation.
Well, you specifically went to like getting stuff done. You were like, I had spent like, I don't know, a few minutes talking about what I think we needed to do. Like, you should be in charge creatively with everything art wise and have a veto power basically. And I should have the same with the writing side and have kind of like a veto power. And after like a whole like thing of coming up with the dynamic of how it all could work and like the rule system and all that, you were like, whatever, let's just get something done. We're not getting anything, and then you just moved off. And I'm like,
Yeah. No, I was frustrated, so I would just try to avoid. I was trying to avoid. That's my superpower. Just avoid things.
like avoiding exercise.
Hey, no bullshit. I've been doing that thing you mentioned.
Oh, really? What?
Calisthenics.
Really?
Yep.
Hey, that's great. Let's hit that after this part.
Okay.
So, but we worked through it. You see,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point of real, like, you walked off, and I literally, it was like, and I said it too. I'm like, dude, it's like you just slapped me in the face,
Yeah.
And I said, I just went through all of this stuff. I pointed out what I thought, and you didn't say anything about it. You just basically said it wasn't important. You walked off and you said we need to get stuff done. And I pointed out that this was the important thing. Us figuring out how we can work together and how we're going to do it is the important part. Not the going to the board and getting the next picture figured out. No, this was the project right here. How we work together, how we work as a team. And so, that's important stuff that you need to evaluate who you're working with. And you need to be able to sometimes take the hits, feel the slaps across the face, but then be able to reiterate in a constructive means what can get you past that point. And I mean, if I would have said all those things after the fact and Joe wouldn't have responded in a very thoughtful and constructive manner, which he did, and I want to praise him for that, because that was the reason we were able to move forward, because he was able to take what I said, and even in his state of anger, evaluate it and understand it, and then concede, really, in he turned around his whole thinking. And that's something that takes a little bit of a lot of different variables, a lot of different positive traits that I won't even go into. You can infer them.
Well, I mean, for me, it was like, and you called me out too. You're like, that was a slap across the face, and I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm being, I mean, we've known each other for so long that we've had our like ups and downs. So it's like, and I feel completely comfortable with James, so I can be like, yeah, I'm being a passive aggressive. I know it, and I was like, and here's why, and I explained it. Like, I feel like we're already doing your story. We're already doing all this. I don't understand why. I have to muddle my images with more text that I don't feel is necessary. And then he explained like that it's not just like he articulated it. It took him a little bit because I mean it's not something you can just like, it's like a feeling and you're like trying to figure out why it's important. And so it's like sometimes you have to like sift through your feelings and like figure out what's important to you. And he had to articulate that basically, yeah, it's not just the story that's my art piece. It's the words and how how they're said, how they sound, the words are picked, their order. And like after that, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And so like, it felt like a logical fallacy. And I was like, I don't get it. And so I really think if I would have approached it like in situations where like you have a disagreement, it might be better to just ask like, help me understand. Because I think that's where my disconnect was, is because I couldn't understand.
And I think you did ask something like that.
Oh, did I?
You may have, because afterwards, you know, well, you said what you just said, and that was, I don't understand, why are we adding, that whole redundancy thought, even though you didn't say the word redundancy, I feel like that was conveyed well. And then I went across and explained the point at which you kind of understood it at the end. But what we're creating is something that is a redundancy. I mean, by definition, it's like when you read a book, how many pictures are there? Like none. Why is that? Well, it's because if you do your words right, you don't need pictures. People create their own canvases in their mind. In fact, you may be taking away from if you have pictures. We're breaking the rule. We're going, okay, we're gonna have all the details so that you can formulate your own picture probably, but we're gonna still show you the pictures. Like okay, there you go.
We're making a comment.
We don't care. So yeah, there you go. But it was an important conversation. It was an important moment, and it was our first real hiccup, which you may find, and maybe you'll have it with yourself. Maybe you'll be like, there'll be a detail that comes up, and you won't know how to handle it, and you don't know if you're going to continue. You don't know if that is a breaking point, and how could somebody do that alone?
So I think it's important to explore, like James did, his feelings on why it wasn't a satisfying thing to not have his stuff in there or have his words in there. Because it's like you have to ask yourself why a bunch of times until you get to like the nugget of like why it's important. And if you are working with somebody and there's like a disagreement, like talk to each other in like, help me understand, I think is a really good term to, because it sounds really like corporate, but I honestly do think it's a really good way of trying to, because I consider myself an empathetic person, where I like to see things from other people's point of view, and I couldn't see any point of view of James's where it wasn't just an ego thing. And so that's what frustrated me, when in fact I was taking away from his art, his creation.
One thing also that I'm thinking about is that don't let deadlines supersede your emotions when it comes to group projects or whatnot. Like we wanted to, or when you were being passive aggressive or whatnot, you wanted to get something done. You wanted to get the production moving.
I was
right?
just trying to avoid the conversation by pretending to get something done.
Well, you were, but at the same time, that could be a lot of people's, because what if you were on a deadline, and you had an emotional scenario where you didn't understand it. I would suggest you try to realize that these emotional situations where you have a problem and you need to solve it, they supersede the deadline. And if you realize that, you can go, okay, no, we need to solve this, or the product will be affected. Like try to get something done meaningful, after that. Give me a break.
No, no, because at that point, like, I know myself. I would have been frustrated, heated, and petty, and been like, "Oh, we should put words here, and put words here, and put words here," and just like feel like I'm sabotaging the product just because I was upset that we're not making what I consider to be the best product.
When the roadblocks come, you need to be able to realize that they are a part of everything that goes wrong and everything that comes up in a project. They are part of it too, and they jump out, and you have to take care of them first.
Yep.
Just like
Yeah.
any emergency in life.
Yeah. I mean, you did the exact right thing by just basically calling me out on it, because there would have been no productivity.
And I think it just screams to the fact that we both want to get it done. Because it was an opportunity for us to say, you know what, nothing's happening here. We just can't find a common ground.
Well, it's also like, I would rather be passive aggressive and still try to get it done than like tell you I don't want to do this anymore. Like, that never crossed my mind. It was more like, I'd rather suck it up and just do whatever he wants than quit the project.
And I wouldn't have wanted that. I want a common ground that makes sense, So, yeah, it was a very valuable scenario for us, and it was like our true first test of whether we can work through difficulties, and hopefully just listening to what we said can help you in some way, whether it's yourself who is your team or whether you are working with others, and hopefully you can use some of that to get through them a little quicker.
Yeah. If you have issues, definitely address them right away. Don't let them stew. It's better to just attack them head on, nip them in the bud before they become like systemic.
Now, I will stress that when I spoke to him, it was after a pause.
Yeah. You want to, because they're still your friend. Like, there's still someone that are important to you. And so it's like, you want to make sure you're saying words that aren't like, neither of us said anything hurtful to each other. Like, we weren't like, we were frustrated because we weren't seeing eye to eye on something.
And I did address the emotion right from the start. I told him the way I felt, and then after that I made points. And he thought about my points, he said things, and then I fed off of that. And we still had the bouncing back and forth. It wasn't just like, oh, he said something, he walked away, and then I just masterfully, sculpted this perfect answer. No, it was, I said how I felt. I explained something that I don't even know what I said. Then he came back with, I don't understand. And then I explained it in a manner that made sense to him. There was a bouncing back and forth of ideas. And so just note that.
Yeah. It takes two to talk things out, for sure. Okay, cool.
So,
I mean,
you succeeded in calisthenics. Let's hear.
Yeah. So on Netflix, they have like Nike does these like calisthenics things, and I just load them up back on that TV back there and do one a night, or try to most nights. Sometimes I have to plan them better, and I just haven't been able to plan them as much as I want.
And how have they been? Have you felt anything?
Good workouts? They're great workouts. Yeah, like I get tuckered out. And they're like, some of them are 10 minutes, some of them are 20 minutes, some of them are 6 minutes, but I just make sure to do one a night.
Well, that's awesome. And so how does that rate versus, because we talked about the whole gym thing, can't get to the gym, all that kind of stuff.
And it goes back to me, barrier of entry. The barrier of entry to go to the gym is a whole lot more, and I have to be ready to
Yeah.
deal with people and look like, I don't know, a slob in front of people by like sweating and like I'm just not ready for all that. So like doing it in my own, like the comfort of my own home is so much nicer. Just being able to like turn it on, exercise, and be done. And like it's like just the barrier of entry. It's so much easier because of the barrier of entry. And I feel like if I was to do a longer session, I could get something probably not as good as like the elliptical, because man, the elliptical kicks my ass. But it's a really good workout.
Well, that's good. That's I'll have to
And I
think
do
about
feel
that.
more like flexible, like I can move around a lot easier.
Nice. Well, that's great. I'll have to take a look at. Did you say that was on Netflix or?
Yep.
I do have. I do have a membership, so I
There you
haven't
go.
watched it in 20 years, but I pay for it. I pay them. Might as well use them.
No, I can't recommend it enough.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, anything on your mind before we think about? Mm-hmm.
Um, no, I think we covered pretty much everything. We got our first other person on our Spotify.
Oh, no. Oh yeah, we're searchable now. Like
Which
you
I
can
mean
find
really
us.
brought up our energy knowing that we can actually be found.
Oh yeah, we weren't on the blacklist of Spotify, so that's good. People could find us. That is a great. Yeah, my energy level shot up real fast after hearing that. I'm like, oh yeah,
Ooh,
finally. The droves that are seeking us
yeah. They crave us.
can fulfill their satiation, productivity, and procrastination.
Um
What are your did you evaluate your goals for this week? Do you have a concrete
yeah, so I
things?
have sketch pancake, and that is a little vague, but I think I'll
That's
know.
okay.
Edit video, and then draw daily.
Excellent. All right.
And then what do you have written down?
I have Pauline desk off.
Would you be willing to listen to an audiobook if I bought it for you?
God, how are you gonna buy it for me? What am I gonna listen to this on?
Do you have Audible?
No.
Do you have Okay, I'll just send it to you as an MP3.
All right. Fine. I'll listen to it. Kick some butt, story wise, which is a little ambiguous, but it's just like a private goal. Like I need to feel like I did a good job. Then I have one goal of hour of details. I have another hour of actual writing, and I also have a kind of like a goal of, it's called plan week success. I'll put it that way. I have to feel like the way I designed my week was a success. I want to make it a success. So, did I do that? Or did I find a way, even with that third extra day, to make it not work?
Right.
I want to feel like I have had that enough of self-control to be able to do that.
Okay. And I think, okay. And so something else I would like to have on your list is listen to part of the audiobook. Because I think it's going to solve a lot of desk problems, at least.
Well, I will not say no, but at the same time, once I have a full day of actual can work on this stuff, I don't see this as a problem.
I know,
because
but
I'm not going to want this.
It's more
but
of
anyway,
like, yeah. Okay. I think we're good for this week. Next week we're gonna meet up and finish, or at least do some more storyboarding.
Do some more storyboard.
We've got theoretically the first 3 pages so far. We might change those up depending on like the rest of the story.
Right.
And we need to do add some text.
And I might change a story based on what we draw, which is in my mind to do so.
Oh yeah, because we're doing this like more collaboration creation, and that's fun. It's more fun that way.
I think it is. So yes, we got 2 podcast episodes done this morning. Like basically, like just edited and thrown up. Success on our part before we started this, and yeah, it's been doing well. Maybe next week, before we do our storyboarding, we can look up like how to put our podcast on Apple or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we have two of those things going on. But other than that, hopefully you got something out of this episode today, and go ahead and end it, Joe.
I'm gonna end it. You guys can't stop me. All right. What should we say to close this out? Like, what's Did we already say it? Should we do
I thought you did.
All right. Well,
Didn't
I'm gonna finish this. If you got strife, don't grab the knife. Okay. Bye.